Record.
Hi, Katie. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for hopping on a call with me to chat
My
about
pleasure.
your experience. It's very nice. I'm very glad. So Katie is a client that I have last week that I work with, and she has nicely accepted to do a testimonial for me. So I'm going to ask her a couple of questions, and there we go.
Amazing.
Katie, explain a little bit to people what was the problem that you came to me with.
Okay, so from as young as I can remember, I've struggled with my weight. I've never been too big, but I'm currently at my biggest, and it was really starting to because I work online, really impacting my business, really impacting how I felt about myself, and it was stopping me putting myself out there. And I just feel that because I do know I've always had kind of like issues with food, like not eating healthily. Then I trained to be a health coach, so I ate very healthily, but I always ate too much, and I'd always be thinking about how I looked, and my body image was just so bad. Like I couldn't even look in the mirror without kind of feeling very intensely negative, not necessarily disgust, just like this negative feeling constantly there. And yeah, I mean, I think so many women will understand what that feels like. And yeah, this was really kind of like the issue that I wanted to work on with you. So
to work on, yeah. And how was your life like having that problem?
I think, I don't want to say miserable, but like I want to describe it as kind of like just low level self-hatred, which I know sounds like quite extreme, but I just couldn't accept, for whatever reason, like I couldn't accept myself. So everything I did in life, whenever I got dressed or whenever I would, have to go online, like an overwhelming kind of sense of people are going to judge me for how I look, which I know logically, I know that doesn't make sense. And yet something was it felt very intense, like negative emotions, and they've just been there the whole. So I've tried all the diets, I've tried all the keto, vegan, all of these things, trying to exercise, and I suppose actually the weight would never go. I think I just had a belief that I would never lose weight. And so I never did. And even if I did, I never, lost the amount of weight that I would want to lose. And even if I was a certain size, I couldn't accept myself. So it's just very mentally painful.
Mm-hmm. And you've been trying, like you said, a couple of things, diet and keto, but the weight wouldn't come off.
Yeah. So I think I did lose quite a bit of weight with keto, but then I think they joke, keto is like a marriage, like you can't cheat on it. And actually it was very restrictive. I've always been restrictive on the food that I eat. And my partner's French, as you are, and they have a very different relationship with food. So, they eat bread, they drink a bit of wine, like it's a really healthy relationship with food. And I think I lived in France for a while. It really started to, I could see how neurotic I was, and I just couldn't have and I was always hungry. like that's another thing, just constantly thinking about food and hungry. It's really hard to diet when you're just thinking about food all the time, or having like a yearning to eat something. So yeah, it was and I'm not the only person who feels like this. I know, you know, I've got friends, family members who also feel this way, and it's really sad, actually.
Did you have that problem for a long time, for a couple of years?
Well, I was big at school. I think I probably started to get larger maybe around the ages of like 11, 12, 13. I only know, I've seen pictures of me when I was, you know, 6, 7. I was definitely slender then, but even then I think like I always felt bigger to everyone else, like whether that was just in my head, I don't know, but I do remember having feelings of just being the biggest out of everyone else, and then I really started to put a lot of weight on in my teenage years, so I got horrendously bullied for that, which was just awful. And you know, I've probably always been obsessed with wanting to be thinner, but then never being able to achieve it, and then feeling terrible that I'm a failure or I'm a loser or I can't, you know, I can't control myself. So, you know, it was just really difficult.
And what were your thoughts before you came to me on hypnosis? And
I think I don't know, I suppose clutching at straws, really. And I didn't think that I would have, well, first of all, I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know, I suppose I just felt that maybe, I think I'd got to the point where I was just like, I'm just going to give up. Like, this is never going to happen for me. I'm never going to feel better. I'm never going to like myself. And that's it. And that's just how my life is. And I think that I was probably just at that point where I didn't even think anything could help me.
And so can you explain a little bit to people how was your experience?
Oh my God, it was, I'm still just reeling with just complete awe and happiness, because it was just like, it's really hard to explain, but something shifted inside me. And as you know, it was guilt that came up. And I think it was really interesting because when I was a kid, my mum had when I was born, my mum had postnatal depression with me. And I think that I must have just, I can't even, still don't really understand it, but there must have been some guilt around. Of course, you're going to feel guilty that you make your mum so unhappy, like that's normal. But this was just, I can't explain that, it was just trapped in my body. And I don't know if you remember, but like I just kept sighing and sighing and sighing. And every time I sighed, it felt like more stuff was kind of releasing and releasing and releasing. And that carried on for about 2-3 days, where I was just sighing, you know, all through the day. And it felt really good. And it felt really, I think I was still kind of processing whatever happened. And it's very difficult to explain, because it wasn't up here. It was something that was physical inside me that needed to shift. And it felt like a physical shift. Like I felt afterwards, like you said, like my face had changed, my body felt. And I remember during the session, I was trying to explain to you, like, I just want to look in the mirror and love myself, but I don't know what that feels like, because I've never had it. So therefore, how can I feel that way? And you just kept going with me and kept going with me, and something changed. Like I can't even, there are no words to describe what happened, but it was like suddenly all of this guilt must have come out of me. And I think there's also a lot of guilt and shame around weight issues, you know, and what we eat and all of this stuff. So all of that stuff became really, it just went away. So like now when I look in the mirror, I feel neutral. You know, I mean, I'm not jumping for joy and high-fiving myself, but actually, like, I don't want to be like that. It is about that it is no longer an issue. I don't have to worry about what I look like. Like, that's just gone. It's not that heavy feeling that's kind of weighing you down. It's just a neutral feeling where it just isn't there anymore. And that is so good, because I need to show up in my business. Like, I don't want to have to worry about this stuff. I just want to be myself and give myself freedom to be myself and permission to be myself. And that's a really nice place to be. And the other crazy thing is, like, I know how to eat well. Like, I train to be a health coach like you as well. And so I understand nutrition. I've always liked health, but there was always, you know, like resistance to cooking and resistance to kind of eating. Like, if I looked at a stick of celery, I'd be like, oh gosh, you know, I don't really want to eat that. I mean, and I was just opening the fridge and it felt like I was having an out of body experience, and like I was picking up the celery and having it with my hummus, and, you know, picking up the radishes and eating them rather than, you know, the saucisson or processed meat that we have, because my partner absolutely loves his like. And so and then when I started, he comes home from work and he's like, you've cooked? And so and like just making things, and it felt like really intuitive. Like my body was telling me, you know, do this and do this. So I wasn't even thinking about it. It was coming really effortlessly, and just it feeling very intuitive about, like, this is what you need to eat now. And I don't know, like one morning I had a bacon sandwich with butter and ketchup, and like there was no guilt. It was like, this is what you want to eat it. And I can just see now, I feel like, okay, if I have this relationship with food and there's no guilt attached to it, and I can, you know, just eat less calories and move my body a bit more, like I really genuinely believe that it's going to work its way out in the wash, that like the body that I want will happen, because I don't know, my subconscious has decided, okay, I don't need to hold on to this anymore. So it's like it's like my belief system has changed, and I'm giving myself permission to just enjoy food and connect with the food that I eat. And I think you asked me, you know, what's the one thing that you think you can do? And I said, feel grateful for the food that I'm eating, like really connect with it and really connect with the joy of eating. Eating should be joyful and nice and a good experience, not filled with guilt and shame and frustration and all of those things. So yeah, I mean, long may it continue. And even if I wasn't to lose any weight, which I'm pretty sure I will, I'm okay with that, because it's all the self-love stuff that's being shifted as well for me. So yeah, gosh, I just can't thank you enough.
How different you are, because the message you send me after, like when you look at yourself in the mirror, how it was before, how you were talking to yourself, and now,
yeah,
the difference and the joy in your face and everything, it's, for me, it's amazing.
Yeah, I can't, honestly, like, and like I'm 30, gosh, how old am I? 37. Like, this is something that I've carried around for such a long time that oh my gosh, if I'd done it sooner. But I mean, you know, I feel like I was meant to meet you, and we were meant to have this session, and everything's just as it should be. So I'm okay with that.
You tried a few things before. You tried to help yourself with different people or diet. It just didn't stick up to work for you, and then that was the right thing for you to have that session with me. That was the right time. And
and I think there's a element of, I know how to eat well, like that's not the problem. I think sometimes there can be an element of people don't know, they're uneducated on foods and what's good and what isn't good. And for me, it was like I went down that route, and I wish I'd maybe done the other way around, like figured out what's going, like what is actually happening. And the thing is, like, I think about this stuff a lot. I'm an overthinker, but I never ever in a million years did I think that this was some sort of guilt. And it just makes so much sense that, you know, when we're young, when we're babies, we really are taking on emotions. We are feeling things. Like, it's not just because we can't remember those years, you know, from the moment we're born until, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I must have, you know, my mum tells me about this all the time, and I think like she wouldn't talk about it so much over the years had it not been such a traumatic experience for her. And so the guilt that I must have had for that, even though in my mind I didn't feel guilty at all, like consciously, you know, yeah, sorry for that, but you know, it was out of my hands. But actually I'd no idea that this was like stored in my body energetically or something. So yeah, I'm just like blown away, seriously.
And when you think about your life now, what are the most things that you're looking for?
You know what, it's like freedom. It's like I feel like I've been released from prison. And it was the prison of my own mind, just making me feel bad, like having to walk down the street and not have to worry about what other people. And this is so weird because like in my head, like I don't really worry about what other people think, or I think it was a feeling within me, like a tenseness within me, like an unease within me that's very difficult to describe, and that's just not there now. So to just be able to to free up all of that emotional space and to free up that authenticity within me, which is, I think, something so many people strive for and want, and it is hard to get, but it doesn't happen up here. It's like something, and you know, for me, it was the energy, it was what was coming out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know what was happening, like this thing that was just happening, all this sighing. I can't tell you what that was, but it was something happened in my subconscious, and now that has just gone, and I just feel relieved, and I feel it's just relief. It's like, oh, thank God I don't have to carry that around with me anymore. And that feels just so freeing. I feel like I've been released from prison, and I've got everything in front of me, and I can just forget what was behind me. And that feels really good.
Yeah, you came to the session, you felt the weight down, like you're saying. You could feel the weight, you didn't know what it was, you were confused, and then at the end of the session you were like shocked and light, and you like relieved, free.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that. So nice.
I just, like, honestly, I can't thank you enough. This is just like this will change my life. Like, I have absolutely one of the most powerful hypnosises I've ever experienced, and so yeah, I'm just eternally grateful.
Thank you. So what would you say to people who are putting off fixing their problem and frustration in life?
Oh my gosh, don't even hesitate. Just get on a call, you don't even have to do anything. You can just sit back and enjoy the ride, and it will change your life. Like, do not wait. Do not put it off any longer. It will change your life. It will change your relationship with food. It will change your weight. It will change your belief system. It will change how you feel about yourself. And life is too short. So yeah, do not wait. Do not put it off.
Thank you so much, Katie. Thank you for joining me today.
No, honestly, thank you. Yeah, I cannot say, you're just unbelievably talented, and yeah, I just feel blessed to
really
have met you. So thank you so much. And yeah, to anyone out there, just send her an email now and have a chat with her and find out more about it. Just don't wait.
Thank you, you're lovely. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate the compliment, everything you told me today. It really meant a lot to me, because that's what I want to do. I want to help people with a lot of pain and help them break free. So
yeah,
for me, it's very nice.
You're the best. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.